So what's up, guys? It is none other than your boy JGiddins, the father here. I want to first off thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching this video, I greatly appreciate you dedicating your time to me. As usual, I want to lead by saying make sure to be positive, optimistic, keep positive people in your circle. Those things are very important as it relates to ensuring that your life stays on a positive course. The primary reason I wanted to do this video today was to sort of describe what the YangGang is to me and what it means to me, why I joined, and just the overall goal. In my opinion, the overall goal of the YangGang is to ensure that, or the overall goal that I have for the YangGang in terms of my position that I play in the overall scheme is to ensure that it lives on beyond the campaign, right? So we all are very excited about the YangGang because we want to see Yang become president. We want to see all of his policies enacted, especially the freedom dividend, right? But even more important than that to me, I think, is that it lives on. And when I say it, I mean the way we treat each other, the bond we have. I found out about Yang, so my Yang story, hashtag my Yang story, by the way, which I have not specifically, I haven't specifically given what my Yang story was because I can't, to be honest with you, I can't remember the specific time that I myself became aware of Andrew Yang, but I do remember it was around, I want to say maybe June, it was around like June, July-ish, probably middle to late June, and it had something to do with the Joe Rogan podcast. I know that either I saw a clip or a friend of mine said something to me about it. I'm not sure. But I say all this to say that, to me, the YangGang stands for more than just a campaign, right? Like, it's more so about humanity. When some of the words that come to mind, when I think about the YangGang are humanity, love, family, togetherness, happiness in general, optimism. These are words that come to mind when you think about the YangGang, and it's primarily because it's a movement that's designed to improve us as a species. It's not something that's per race or per nationality. It's being put into the box of a nationality because of our geographical location. But it's really an ideology that exists outside of just this campaign and just what we're going for. And what I really want to do is make sure that people understand that beyond this presidency, we need to maintain the same relationship that we have with each other. When I joined Twitter, which was for the first time a couple months ago, I've always had an account, but I just started using it a couple months ago. I got hundreds of followers and friends on Twitter specifically from the YangGang. One of which, by the way, I have to make mention, Will Chang, my man. As a matter of fact, let me grab my Yang hat. Right. Yang 2020. Let me show you guys, by the way. Make sure to pick up your pink Yang hat, right, from Will. I'll leave a comment. I'm sorry, not a comment. I'll leave a link down in the description where you guys can find this hat, by the way. But I met some great people such as Will who inspired me to start to do these types of videos. We started having conversations about what it was like to be African American, which, the whole idea of exploring these types of topics that you normally wouldn't with someone is encouraged by the YangGang, and that's why, being a part of the YangGang family is so important, and understanding that this is more than just a campaign run. This is about humanity. It's about it's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. It's a way of living. It's to a point where if I were driving down the street and I saw somebody stranded on the side of the road and they had a Yang, they had a Yang hat on or a mask hat, or they said YangGang, I would stop and I would help them. And that's honestly and truthfully where I am with things. I feel like the ideals that are pursued by the YangGang and the Yang movement are bordering the line of spirituality, right? So that's that's a very deep conversation I won't necessarily have during this video, but I will say that whether you're religious or you're spiritual, a belief in something higher is what we all seek in order to have validation for the decisions that we know are right. You know, like when you think about Congress, Republicans, Democrats, they're making these decisions, and we all know what the right thing to do is. You know, when you think about the emergency the people who the emergency responders from 9/11, right? They were having an argument about whether or not to fund them being able to get medical treatment to stay alive. It's not a question of whether or not we should do that, right? But we all need something higher to aspire to, which will validate the decision making. A lot of times it's religion, right, which is why Christianity is brought up a lot in Congress and things of that nature, to sort of give people a higher range of ideas to consider when they're making these decisions. But I think what the YangGang or the Yang movement is trying to instill in people is that exists within us ourselves, and that is, to me, what borders the line of spirituality. Again, thank you to everybody who's watching this video right now. I want to encourage you guys to ask me any questions that you may have or concerns that you may have. One of the things that I found in talking to different, YangGangers, if you will, or Youngsters, original Youngsters, one of the many things that I find is that there is a divide between, blacks or African Americans and those of other races in terms of understanding what it's like at the bottom at a certain level, right? And what I want to do is sort of be a bridge. That is where this entire ideology of me making these videos came from. That is what the entire purpose is to sort of bridge the gap, because I fit into a certain box that does not typically exist. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, which is a struggling community, a shithole, right, if you go by Trump's definition. And I grew up in, I had a rough growing up, I'll just say that, right? And I somehow turned out to be intellectual. Me, myself, because I didn't do 4 years in college, I didn't get a master's, any of that, I attribute a lot of my intellectuality to video games. And I know a lot of you might say, what, video games? But I played a lot of games that you had to read, and you had to immerse yourself in the game, RPGs or role-playing games. And they really sort of made me view life differently. Some of the characters and the aspects of the characters in the game made me take a step back and look at life from that perspective. So I started looking at, black people as, characters in the game in the grand scheme of things, and white people. And it's not really about, I don't want to make it so much about race, it's more so about class, and I don't know, I just feel that at the end of the day, the YangGang is aspiring to test the limits of these things. I think that it's very important that we all understand that the YangGang needs to live on beyond the presidency. Again, if there are any questions or comments that anybody has, videos, topics that you would like to see me discuss, I have many that I'm going to be doing myself, but if there's any that you guys would like to see me discuss, or questions you want answered about just the community, the deprivation, the negativity that happens in the communities, please make sure to put them in the comments. Make sure to reach out to me through the contact methods that you see. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at JGiddins the Fat One, right? JGiddinSFAT1. It wasn't enough space for JGiddins the Father, so I had to do JGiddins the Fat One. Make sure to contribute at my Patreon, patreon.com/JGiddins. Please support me. That allows me to do these videos and share with you guys. Just remember that the goal is to make sure that the YangGang exceeds the length of this campaign or presidency run. We have to understand and make sure that we communicate to other members of the YangGang that this is bigger than just the presidency. And one of my biggest fears is that people will lose faith or hope after they start to see that Yang may not become president, because it is a pretty good chance that he may not become president, and that's not me being negative or being pessimistic. It's being realistic, and I don't think it's because he can't or he shouldn't win. I think it's more so because the powers that be are going to do everything in their power to keep him from achieving that goal. Andrew Yang often mentions that Martin Luther King was championing something very similar to the freedom dividend, and what happened to him. I don't think that what he was championing had absolutely nothing to do with his assassination. I think that he was trying to break up the what we call income inequality. Right? Income inequality is modern day slavery, in my opinion. In fact, that is something that I want to do a video on, explaining specifically how modern day slavery relates to income inequality and how it is more specifically targeted toward certain races, more specifically blacks and Latinos, Spanish, coloreds, really, because we're all grouped in one box as it relates to white supremacists or those that are against the rise or the success of black or colored folk. Again, thank you guys so much for everything in terms of the support that I get from people, whether it be on Twitter or social media in general. Please make sure to leave a like and a comment on the video regarding what you saw and what you would like to see. This is just the beginning, it's just the beginning. There's a wealth in here of thoughts that I have, so much that I'm trying to not deviate during the video, because every point that I make has tons of points within it to validate that point, and I don't want to sort of go off on a tangent. So again, patreon.com/JGiddins. Thank you guys so much for your support. JGiddins out.